In the UK, the sterling climbed after Britain's service sector surged on the greater certainty resulting from the landslide Conservative election victory last month. Despite a stagnant economy, December's composite PMI for the UK was revised up to 50.0 from an initial flash estimate of 49.0. That, coupled with a tension in the Middle East, catching investors' interest. But let's talk to Juliana at this point. Hello, Juliana. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chimazé.
So US-Iran tensions are rocking the global markets, but the final UK services sector PMI reading out this morning was stronger than expected. Which one of these factors are taking the upper hand in moving market sentiments in London?
Well, unfortunately, Chimazé, of course, the global sentiment is really what's marching and what's pushing the global equities market in London today. However, you know, these PMI service data that have coming this morning from the service sector seems as if, you know, we're going in the right direction. Throughout 2019, PMI hadn't been really good for the UK. And of course, PMI is basically what looks at the health of the economy. Services is particularly important to Britain because the service sector contributes about 80%. As you said, it seems as if we were shifting away from the volatile situation we had here in Britain in December, particularly, of course, because of the Conservative landslide victory. So a lot of business sentiment appeared to see as if we would be finally getting Brexit done. So we had 49.3. That was the reading in November. It's climbed up to 50. 50 is the point of contraction and expansion. And this is the first time we've seen a 50 mark since about November 2018. So that is great. But as I was saying, you know, not enough to shift the equities market as, you know, the tension in the Middle East between Tehran and Washington appears to be brewing. At intraday, the FTSE All-Share is down 1.15%. The FTSE 100 is down 1.11%, and the FTSE 250 is down 1.18%. In currencies, the British pound is up on the US dollar by 0.63%, up on the euro by 0.28%, and up on the Japanese yen by 0.54%.
So what companies on the FTSE 100 and FTSE 250 are the beneficiaries or perhaps losers from the Middle East tension?
Well, as I spoke to Bosun about it this morning, and of course we've seen it over the weekend, oil majors are really the only, you know, big FTSE 100 indexes that are doing so well. Brent crude, BP, Shell, they're all up by between 2.0 and 2.5%. The biggest fallers, we heard Chelsea talk about it in Frankfurt, are the airline companies, because they do use a lot of this fuel. And so their shareholders are running helter-skelter at the moment, particularly in London on the FTSE 100. EasyJet, their shares at intraday are down about 2.5%. IAG, they're the umbrella company of British Airways. Their shares are also down about 2.0%. Away from what's happening in the Middle East, we did have some new data from car registration, and it did show that in December, car registration was up 0.1%, and that little surge made car makers' shares go up. So there are a couple of car makers on the FTSE 250 that has seen a small rise in their shares.
Interesting, but talking about data, the one compiled by the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development and, of course, the High Pay Center think tank shows bosses of Britain's leading firms will be paid more within 3 working days of 2020 than the average employee's annual wage. Can you tell us more about this research and what this might mean for UK workers?
Well, unfortunately, Chimmy, it doesn't mean much for UK workers. What it does mean is that a lot of people are not happy at the moment. In fact, you know, this data has been trending on Twitter for the past couple of hours. Even the outgoing leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, said that, you know, the findings of this data are quite grotesque. Basically, what the data has found is if you were a CEO of a FTSE 100 company who went back to work on Thursday, the 2nd of January at 8 a.m., by the end of today's working shift of 5 p.m., you would have earned about £30,000. which is the equivalent, I believe, of about 14 million naira. And basically, you would have earned more than the average UK worker. So the average UK worker's salary in this country at the moment is about £30,000. Of course, everybody, if you're not earning a CEO's salary, is completely up in arms about it. And they say it's just too much. And really what this data is trying to do by publishing this information is to hold shareholders more accountable. They want to try and decrease the amount that top earners are earning in these FTSE companies to the lowest paid earners. And they believe by posting this data, it will name and shame and start asking people to make their company pays more fairly. But in the short term, Chimmy, all it does is make some people very, very angry and some FTSE 100 CEOs red-faced.
Well, that's an interesting one there. Anyway, let's continue to monitor the geopolitical tensions there and, of course, other developments. And we'll talk more. See you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the day.
See you tomorrow.